We finished the eighth maximum, no?
Did we finish the eighth one, last one? I think we just need to go to the ninth now. So mold your behavior and way of living to such a high order as to arouse a feeling of love and piety in others. So first line you underline. We get power from our thought. And it is this thought power that is used in our system. In Raja Yoga, what we use is the thought power. Okay. And where does this thought power come from? Where is the origin of the mind? So always remember where the mind has its origin from. It has its origin from the root force, Akshobh. So whatever arises in the mind, it is laced with that particular power of the mind. And that when it comes to the surface as thoughts, the thought contains power in it. So we get power from our thought. It happens only when we create perfect harmony between the things of our making and things of the divine. The word vyavahara, practical dealings, carries a wide meaning. It covers the entire sphere which falls next to the ultimate. So from the level of the Kshob down to the lowest level, wherever there is nature, you remember what nature covers we had spoken about. Nature covers the entire gamut from the Kshob down to the lowest subatomic particles. That being the case, at all levels, there is vyavahara. There is dealings between things and objects and people, souls, whatever you can think of, or vyavahara between the divine currents, the divine functionaries, the things which are created. So wherever things are created, they tend to interact with vyavahara, they tend to interact with one another, and that becomes vyavahara or practical dealings. There is uniformity in divine dealings, but only in a particular sense. Underline that. There is uniformity, one of the characters of divine dealings. How do we know that we are actually behaving in a divine way? When we practically behave in a divine way, there will be uniformity in our dealings. That's one of the characters to look for. Are they being uniformly dealing with people? For example, there are 4 or 5 people who come to meditation at once. Now you need to learn to manage all of them in such a way that each one feels that attended to. Now you cannot have 4 or 5 people come for meditation and you just pay attention and talk to only one person, and the rest of the people are kind of getting a feeling of neglected. That should not be the case. Now that is a human level interaction. At a human level interaction, we prefer one over the other. In other words, there is less uniformity. In nature's dealings, there is always a uniformity across the board. But unlike the next part, uniformity doesn't mean to say that if I give one vada to one fellow, I'll give the one vada to everyone also. Because Bharat and Gopal Krishna might demand 2 vadas. Who knows? Right? It's not going to be sufficient if I give one vada. In other words, it is uniform, but also taking the particular into consideration. So it is qualified in that way. It is uniform, but it also takes the particular needs into consideration. One simple example is suppose there are 3 children for a mother. All the 3 children like 3 different things, right? So the mother will try to cater to all the 3. May not be at once. She might not be able to make 3 dishes to 3 different children all the time. But however, over the course of the week, she'll make sure that she'll cater to each one. Or she'll get each one of them to actually get to eat things in moderation. In other words, there is an element of uniformity that is brought in. In other words, one of the commonest complaint when you have 2 or 3 children is that parents do not pay attention to me. parents are partial towards this or that. This is a very common complaint that we hear from many kids who come to the hospital. Oh, they never paid attention to me. They always want this fellow only they prefer. They don't like me at all. This is a very common complaint. But from a parent's perspective, they always tend to cater to each one uniformly. And they also take into consideration the individual proclivities of everyone. In other words, they take into that natural bent of likings and dislikes that each individual has. So that is the meaning of that particular sentence. There is uniformity in nature, and when we apply the word uniformity, we first grossly apply it in the terms of quantity. That's why I give you the example of vada. So if I give one vada to everyone, I'm being uniform to everyone. But I don't take into consideration their individual proclivities. Now, somebody might not like the vada. Somebody might like it very little. Somebody might like it more. Now, when I take that into consideration in the particular sense of each individual, what I may do, I will still be uniform but flexible. So I might give two vadas to somebody, I might give half vada to somebody, I might just give a small piece of vada to somebody, I might actually not give only. If they totally dislike it, I might not give at all. But the point is that even when we think about uniformity, the fundamental thing that people make a mistake is that you think that you have to apply at a gross level. And gross level is in terms of quantity. That's the common mistake that people do. Okay. And that is where, suppose there are two children and one child likes, say, jamun, and the other child is not very particularly fond of jamun. What will the mother do? Mother is quite likely to give two jamuns to the first fellow and maybe one jamun to the next fellow. Right? Now, the second child might not necessarily grasp why it was done like that way. It was done that way to take into consideration the particular liking of a particular child, of that child. Not because the mother wants to discriminate, but it's only to kind of cater to those needs. In other words, one of the things that we have to learn in this is something that we cover in heartfulness communication also is learn to cater to the needs of the individuals. Normally, we tend to cater to what we want to say. But when we are actually aligning what we want to say or do with what the individual needs for their growth, then it becomes a very good bond. In other words, there's an individual who has a particular need, and that need is now being fulfilled by another individual. Now, that actually tends to kind of create a close bond. If we do not cater to the needs of the individual, say, for example, the need of the individual is love and attention, and you go on preaching to them, there will be no bond created. Because that individual might actually be very intelligent. That individual might already have the capability to read and understand many things. But what that individual needs is that they require love and care. And when that is not given, when something else is actually being taught to them, they might not necessarily, it is not something that time spent worthwhile. Now you might wonder, when do we call time spent worthwhile? Time is spent worthwhile if it caters to the need of the individual according to their needs. So an individual is there, they have a particular need. And if the other individual understands or grasps that need and spends that time catering to that particular need, then you can say it is time spent worthwhile. Otherwise, many times, in fact, we have to be aware of this. Much of the time, our interactions with people are not in terms of catering to their needs. Our interactions with people is based on what we have got it within in terms of what we want to share. Now, there again, when we have an interactive session, it's far more worthwhile, right? When you have an interactive session, what will happen? You actually allow the person to ask some question, and based on that need of that particular person, you try to answer. Now, suppose you don't have interactive session, it's a one-way talk. You go on giving talk for the next 2 hours, and you have no clue what that actually individual needs or likes. Then it's quite likely that although you might have spent 2 hours, it's quite likely only part of the 2 hours is spent worthwhile. Rest of the time is just spent together without necessarily neither the deliverer feeling better nor the receiver feeling better. Does it make sense? So when we can actually connect to the need of the other individual, we establish a deeper connection, deeper bond. Now the next question comes, which you can try to answer. How to identify the need of the person? How to identify the need? It's okay. These are theory is okay, fine. I will cater to the need of the person. But how do we know the need of the person? Bharat will say, I look into their eyes and see what is the need written there.
By speaking to them.
By speaking to him. Okay. One way of knowing it. Anything else? And the trouble with needs is that the needs are so deeply embedded in the subconscious that many times the individual themselves are not aware of their needs. They will not even know what they need actually. So even if you talk to them, they will not be in a position to actually tell you what they need. Then what to do?
Is it that heart to heart connection?
Heart to heart connection. See the heart को ही हाथ डाल दो. Now again, it's a theoretical answer. Heart to heart connection. What is supposed to happen? Now let's go to the specifics. If you say heart to heart connection, then what is supposed to happen? ऐसा नहीं है कि every time we meet somebody, we'll give our heart to them. Right? You have only one heart. How many people can you give your heart? ಅಲ್ವೇನೋ ಭರತ್ ಎಷ್ಟು ಜನಕ್ಕೆ ಅಂತ ಕೊಡ್ಲಿ ಒಬ್ಬರಿಗೆ ಕೊಡೋದೇ ಕಷ್ಟ ಆಗಿದೆ. It's difficult to find one person that I can give my heart to. How can I give my heart to so many people? So again, when we say heart to heart connection, at a surface level, it might sound nice, correct. But our job is to go to the nitty-gritties, to the depth. How does it work? Even if you say heart to heart connection, mind to mind connection, eye contact to eye contact, you might say anything. That doesn't matter. But how does it work at the end of the day? That's something that we need to ponder about. Gopal Krishna started looking at his shelf. The shelf is on the left side. What is there in this? Let me take out something from this shelf. Now ponder about this. Now have you people finished the heartfulness communication course? Halfway through. Bharat? ಇಲ್ಲ ಇನ್ನು ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ. ಮಾಡಾಯ್ತಾ? ಆಗೋಯ್ತಾ? ಅದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಶೀಟ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ ನೋಡಿದ್ಯಾ?
Needs.
The universal needs ಅಂತ. Now take a printout of that. If you take a printout of that and keep it with you, that will come in handy in many situations. Universal needs. So if others have not done the heartfulness communication course, Go back to that, and there is one particular module which talks about the needs of the individual. Remember, the needs of the individuals are universal. All of us have the same needs. Every individual have the same needs. When I say same needs, what I mean is every individual has needs which are universal in nature. But among all the needs that needs to be fulfilled, each one has different needs to be fulfilled. But each need, if you take, it is universal. All of us have the need to be respected. All of us have the need to be loved. All of us have the need to be cared for. All of us have the need to be uh, catered to in terms of given space and time. Everything. So there are n number of needs that is actually universal. Now, the relative importance of each of these needs might vary among individuals. Okay, just take a printout of that particular need and keep it with you. Okay. Suppose there are two lovers who've been together for a long period of time, and one of the lover has had a difficult time. Now, other lover comes to know about it. They don't need to even speak to one another. Just eye contact for a few seconds is sufficient to see the feeling of the care that the other lover is now needing. When they are hurt in a difficult situation, when they're passing through a challenging situation in life, you can see the hurt in their face, in their eyes. And all that you need to do to just kind of feel that need is just look into their eyes for a few seconds and then you'll actually feel it. So now comes to the nitty-gritties. When brother said heart to heart, the subconscious mind, which has the need, might not be able to ventilate it through the conscious mind. That's why I said many times people don't even know what they need. However, when a heart to heart connection is established, or when you are sensitive in your heart, when you have expanded your consciousness, what happens is any other person who comes in contact with your heart, you can feel the need that is embedded in their subconscious mind. More the expansion of your consciousness, more the sensitivity of your heart. This is what we call as intelligence of the heart. So there's something called as intelligence of the mind. There's something called as intelligence of the heart. The intelligence of the heart grows as we actually progress in meditation. Now, what is the nature of the intelligence of the heart versus mind? The nature of the intelligence of the heart is that it is catering more to the feeling aspect. Okay. Now, no matter the layers of samskaras which are on top of that need, that the particular need might be at the bottom of the subconscious mind, and there are n number of samskaras which are stacked up above that. The beauty of the heart to heart connection, or the beauty of an expanded consciousness with a sensitive heart which has developed its intelligence, is that these layers of samskaras are no longer a block to feel the need which is embedded at the bottom of the subconscious mind. A sensitive heart pierces through all these things, caters to that level of the subconsciousness and picks up, this is the need of this particular individual. That is what is going to happen. Does it make sense? How does the heart to heart connection work? When we do meditation regularly, when we do our sadhana regularly, what happens is our heart becomes sensitive. Now, when you say heart is becoming sensitive, what do you mean by that? Our heart becomes sensitive to feelings. So the language of the intelligence of the heart is feelings. Okay. When the intelligence of the heart develops, remember one thing, very simple. Wherever you pay attention, what is supposed to happen?
Energy flows.
Energy flows. So when you pay attention to the heart itself has its brain. It's called as heart's brain. Unlike the mind's brain, which is there in the skull, this is different. The heart's brain is different and the gut brain is different. We've got three brains, remember. Okay, so the gut brain is different, the heart brain is different, and the mind's brain is different. The mind's brain language is words, thoughts. The heart brain's language is feelings. Now, I will leave this question to you people to ponder about what is the language of the gut brain.
I was eagerly waiting for that.
So there are three brains and the language of each of them is different. Gut brain is sound ante. So Gopal Krishna will be waiting for the stomach and the intestine to make noises inside. No, that is not the language. Just ponder about it, you will get it. You are utilizing it every day. Oh, Bharat got
Food.
something in the left hand. Go on.
Food.
Food is not the language. Language is the brain communicating to you, the gut communicating to you. How does the gut communicate to you? Not intuition. Of the three, the gut brain is the grossest. The mind brain is in the middle. The heart brain is the subtlest. This is how it is. The gut brain is the grossest. The mind brain is somewhere in the middle. And the heart brain is the subtlest. So now I have given you some clue to the answer. What could be the gut brain's language? Do people not feel how does the gut brain communicate to you? You feel it every day, but you don't pay attention to it. You are already responding to it with awareness. Everyone is doing it, but you have not paid attention to it. That this is the language of the gut brain. What body language? Gut brain can have body language. What body language will it show?
It expresses itself through the body, is what I was trying to say.
Correct. But how does it express? That's the question. Of course, it is a living thing. It has to express through the body only.
Digestive system?
But be more specific. What is there in the gut digestive system only? What else is there? That's why you eat food and it goes there. Anything that you put in, it has to go and get. Hunger is one language, one part of it. Anything else? Look at everything that you feel in the gut, in the stomach. What are all the things that you feel in the stomach? Make a list of that. That is the language with which the gut is communicating to you. It communicates every day. Morning, before we started the session today, I was feeling hungry. So what did I do? I went and had a cup of tea. So that is the language of the gut communicating a need. Hunger is the need of the gut. So it is the language of the gut. So it communicates to you and then you pick it up and then you start doing something to manage it. That is the basic thing, no? A baby, when it is born, all that does is it feels hunger, it cries out, and the mother feeds it. Right? The baby's gut, this heart brain or the mind brain, both are not developed as yet. The baby's only gut brain is working at that time when the baby is newborn. All that the baby do is wakes up, cries, has some milk, and goes to sleep. That's all. So hunger is one thing. Anything else? All the things that your gut communicates to you is the function of the gut brain.
Craving.
Sorry?
Craving.
Craving. When the hunger is increased, you get more craving. Craving is something that is felt more at the level of the mind. Of course, the gut can also develop craving, provided you have fed the gut repeatedly with the same thing. Then the gut also can develop craving. This is what happens. Say, for example, a person who is alcoholic, who's tasted alcohol repeatedly every day, when they don't give alcohol to the body one particular day, for whatever reason, every aspect of their body, including all the senses, will go into restlessness. That's why they are not able to tolerate. They are not able to tolerate even one day of not being given that. They become so restless at all levels. Not only we talk about restlessness at the level of the mind, but they become restless at the level of the body. They become restless at the level of the senses, multiple levels. Okay, so the restlessness is at multiple levels. Say somebody who's running every day. If they don't run one day, they'll feel restless. Not only restless at the level of the mind, but also restless at the level of the muscles. Because the muscles also have memory and it is tuned to running every day at the same time. So if they don't go to that running on a particular day, the muscles will start giving some stimulus. You're not running today, you're not running today. In other words, the memory that is formed is at multiple levels. The cell has its own memory of functioning. Muscle has its memory. Each organ has its memory. Each system has its memory. Then we have the memory which is stored at the level of the brain at multiple levels. So now the homework for you is one part of the answer is correct, what Bharat said. He felt the intense need that he feels as the answer. He's given that answer and he's been very honest about it. Hunger is a need, correct, at the level of the gut. And that is the language of the gut. What else could be the language of the gut? You just observe your gut today, you will get the answer by tomorrow morning. Okay, so now you have appetite. Appetite is the same, hunger. Hunger and appetite is the two different words for the same thing.
Stomach pain, motion, all the symptoms.
Come again?
Stomach pain, motion,
Pain in the stomach, pain. Pain is one aspect, one response of the gut. Anything else?
motion,
Motion, movement. The movement of the gut. It is felt, no? You can feel the movement of the gut. And then you can see the variations in the movement of the gut. Not only you feel the movement of the gut in general, you can separately feel the movement of the stomach and the intestine. You can feel the movement of the large intestine and the rectum. There are also different parts, no? What if they don't move properly? What happens then?
gastric problem,
Don't go for specific diagnosis. What happens if they don't move properly? What will happen to you?
you feel heavy,
You feel heavy. Anything else? You eat the food, the intestines are not moving properly. What happens? How do you feel?
Indigestion.
Indigestion. How does the indigestion actually feel like? What is the feeling that you get?
Heaviness is one of the.
Heaviness is one thing. Anything else?
gastric,
You can feel bloating.
bloating,
You feel distension. You can feel discomfort. You need not feel pain all the time, but you can feel any of these things, right? Now, they are all the language of the gut. And when you feel discomfort in the stomach, Don't you think you can clearly differentiate that this is a discomfort in the stomach versus a discomfort elsewhere? Can you not differentiate? ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೋ ಇಲ್ವಾ? You can clearly feel, no? I have difficulty or discomfort in the stomach. That's what the patient will come and say to the doctor. When the discomfort is actually felt in the abdomen, they will not say, I'm feeling discomfort in the chest. They can clearly feel where exactly which particular part of the body they're actually feeling the difficulties or the discomfort. Right? So just remember this, that the gut has its own language. All these things that you now just spoke about, they are all the languages of the gut. Every day the gut communicates you using this language. So now somebody can listen to the recording and make a list of all the things that we feel from the gut, which is the language of the gut. Same. Or you can actually observe yourself over the course of few days. Then you will get all the things that we spoke about today. One day don't eat. See what happens to the gut. What will the gut communicate to you? One day you eat more. See what happens. One day you eat all junk food. See how does the gut communicate to you. One day you eat sattvic food. See how does the gut communicate to you. With different kinds of food that you eat, the gut communicates to you some different things. How do you know that whatever you're eating appropriately and it is actually being beneficial for your health? How do you know? How does the gut communicate then?
We feel light.
You feel light when
When we eat appropriate,
when
we eat appropriate food.
after eating the food also, if you still are able to feel the lightness, that means two things. You have eaten the food in moderation and the gut is actually accepting that particular food happily. So two things. You have to eat in moderation and the food that you have eaten is actually accepting for the gut. Then, like the heart, when you do the right thing, the heart does not say anything. So when you eat the right thing, the gut also doesn't say anything. It keeps quiet. It just does its normal work. When you eat wrong food, when you eat in the wrong quantity, the gut immediately communicates to you, you are doing something wrong. It's like the heart communicating to you that if you're doing something wrong, the heart will immediately say you're doing something wrong. The heart will start beating faster. But when you're doing the right thing, the heart will keep quiet. It doesn't say anything. That's how it's supposed to be. Okay, you're doing the right thing in the right way. So the heart will keep quiet. Daji writes, no, in heartfulness way, the heart will not pat you on the back. Ah, you've done a wonderful job. It will not do anything of that kind. If the heart keeps quiet, that means you are on the right path. Remember, the heart does not seek any appreciation from anybody. The heart being quiet itself is the appreciation for the work that you are doing. It is in this context, Basavanna used the word Kayakave Kailasa. It's not like you do a particular work and as a result of that you go to Kailasa. No. The work itself is the fruit. There is nothing else that you are going to get after that. You remember in this context, we read about the prayer. In the heartfulness chapter prayer, Daji says you don't get results after the prayer. The change occurs while you pray itself. The change will not occur after you have prayed and as a result of the prayer. No. The change occurs during the prayer itself. The moment you wish for a change and pray, the change is already occurred within you. All that needs to happen is the manifestation of the change will take time. But the change has already occurred in you during the prayer itself. Likewise, when you do an appropriate activity which is in tune with spirituality, the heart will keep quiet. In other words, that itself is the result. What happens in the heart? The heart will keep quiet means there is no external reaction. Whatever you have not now done, the heart keeping quiet means we are talking about in the external sense. What is happening in the internal sense in the heart? The consciousness is expanding. When we say the heart is keeping quiet, what we mean is externally it doesn't make any noise. It doesn't give you any sense of discomfort. It doesn't beat fast. Your respiration does not go for a toss. None of those things will happen if you are doing the right thing. But something internally is happening now because you have done the right thing. The consciousness in the heart is now expanding. When you do the right things in life, the consciousness automatically expands and you become more sensitive. That's the importance of doing the right things in the right perspective with the right attitude. Then, even while at work, you expand your consciousness. Don't be under the impression that the consciousness can only expand when you sit and meditate, when you take a sitting. That's one way of doing it. When you actually do the right thing at the right time with the right attitude and intention, the consciousness automatically expands in the heart. In fact, Ramanujacharya describes what is good and bad work. He says a good work is that which actually expands the consciousness. A bad work is that which actually contracts the consciousness. Both are possible. When the consciousness contracts because you're doing some mistake, that is when the heart will start beating faster. It gives you a warning signal. You are doing something wrong. Just keep that in mind. The heart responds intuitively, immediately. It doesn't wait for any other signal. Immediately, it will start beating faster. Immediately, it will start varying its respiration. So that's the importance of. There are many samsthas which teach about the awareness of the breath. But the awareness of the breath is a consequence of the change in the consciousness in the heart and the heart responding to that change in the consciousness. So you're like catching the third thing that comes in the sequence. First thing is the change in the consciousness. Second thing is in the secondary to the change in the consciousness, the response of the heart. And then the third thing is in response to the heart, a change in the respiration. So when you actually focus on the breath, you are actually trying to catch the third impact, the third level of the change. When you actually learn to focus on the consciousness itself, which is what we do in heartfulness, you are catching the thing at the source. That's the difference between mindfulness meditation or meditations where you focus on the breath versus the meditation where you focus on the heart. When I say heart, in our system, it is more specific. It's not only the heart, it is the consciousness in the heart that you're actually becoming sensitive to. And how do we know that we're actually becoming sensitive to the consciousness in the heart? You remember what is it that we spoke about? The 6 things, Gopal Krishna. How do we know that in the meditation the work is occurring on the consciousness?
CLC M
Not CLC.
sort of vibration, sound condition.
Correct. But tell that correctly. There are 6 things. 6 things indicate the work occurring at the level of the consciousness. Anyway,
CMC VLS.
sorry?
CMC VLS.
I'll make it easier now for you. CMC is CMC Vellore. Most of the people know about CMC Vellore, no? In Tamil Nadu, at least you should know CMC Vellore, Christian Medical College, Vellore. Okay, so that's easy. CMC Medical College, and it's related to Christianity. And then in our Banshankari Ashram, there is one hotel. Most of the people in Banshankari Ashram who Abhyasis are very favorite, fond of this hotel. It's called as SLV, Shri Lakshmi Venkateshwara Hotel. And there you are bringing Hinduism. You can Remember the work on the consciousness from these two perspectives. CMC, SLV. The C is color. M is movement. Other C is condition. So CMC. Then SLV. S means sound. L means light. V means vibrations. So CMC, SLV. In fact, every time a person undergoes meditation, they give feedback based on this CMC, SLV only, most of the times. They cannot give any other feedback apart from this. It is CMC, SLV. You now observe yourself after your meditation session, and when you write a diary, what is it that you write in the diary? What is there inside? We all keep it telling Abhyasis, you look inside, look inside. Then if somebody were to turn back to you and say, what is there inside? What, what are you going to answer? You are going to answer, there are only two things inside. One is the samskaras, other one is the consciousness. When you cross over these two things, you go towards the base, which is the reality. That's all it is. Only two things are present inside: consciousness and samskaras. When we decrease the load of the samskaras and expand in consciousness, we go towards divinity. When we go beyond that level of consciousness itself, we go towards reality. That's all it is. Very simple. Everyone, when they meditate and give you feedback, either they give you some feedback about some samskaras that they experienced, or they give you some feedback about some aspect of the consciousness that they experienced. That's all it is. It's not too difficult for anyone to actually grasp it. Now you look at your own session of meditation, or you say your own sitting. Every time you finish a sitting, either you give some aspects of the samskaras that you experience, or you give some aspects of the consciousness that you experience. So samskaras related thing, what do you say? I felt restless. You say that I had a lot of thoughts. You say that I saw images. You say that I saw a lot of faces. I saw some sceneries. I saw some patterns. These are all the things that you say. All these things are relating to the samskaras. Then the CMCSLV is something related to consciousness. Now, the homework for you people is, over the course of the next 1 week, when you meditate and write down the diary, you now see, apart from these two, what else do you write in the diary? What else can you write? When you actually start getting the taste of divinity, now you start mentioning about divinity. Initially, you get the taste of the divinity through the feelings that you get. And feelings are the conditions that we spoke about. All the conditions are nothing but feelings. As and when the feelings become more and more subtle, it acquires more and more divine touch to it. And now you become sensitive to the divine touch. Then when the divine touch is also becoming so subtle, now you leave that also, you go beyond that level of consciousness where the divine touch is there. Now you are established or fully drowned in divinity. There at that time, you are no longer perceiving the divinity as separately, but you are established in divinity and proceeding towards reality. This is what is supposed to happen. Does it make sense? So if somebody were to ask you, after you have done your preceptor training, what do you see inside? What do you see inside? You should be in a position to say what is there inside. Samskaras, consciousness. As you let go of the samskaras and the consciousness expands, you become more sensitive to the touch of the divinity. You start grasping the divinity as an entity. Now, as and when you become more and more well-versed with the language of divinity, you go beyond the realm of the consciousness, and now you are established in divinity per se, then you actually become unaware of the divinity. When you become unaware of the divinity, gradually you move towards the reality. Okay. So in that sentence, Babaji says, no, that end of philosophy is the start of spirit, end of religion is start of spirituality, end of spirituality is start of reality. In that context, spirituality includes the spiritual phase and the phase of divinity. Both are included in that. He's not mentioning it separately, because it's just that the divinity gradually becomes more and more catchable, or as a separate entity, it is feelable, graspable. Okay, does it make sense? Okay, now for the next 1 week, after you meditate, when you write the diary, look at how you are actually writing the diary. What is it that you write in the diary? Okay, so that will be the homework. Part of the homework you already done, which is the language of the gut. But somebody needs to enumerate it in one place. These are all the ways in which the gut communicates to us. Okay, so 3 brains: gut brain, grossest; mind brain, more subtler; the heart brain, subtlest. Gut brain, since it is the grossest, it communicates in different ways. The mind brain, since it's a bit more subtler, it communicates in words and language. The heart brain, since it is the subtlest, it communicates through feelings. Okay. So one last point to just take home today is that as and when we progress in meditation, the relative importance and the effectiveness of the different sadhanas that we do will keep changing. And this applies to meditation, this applies to cleaning, this applies to prayer. So just keep this particular point in mind. We'll elaborate on that particular point as we go forward. There are many tools that are given to you, no? So the relative importance of each of these tools which are given to you as sadhanas or practices will change as you progress in meditation. As you evolve spiritually, the relative importance keeps changing. So that's why our system is a very dynamic system. It's not a static. It's not like, suppose somebody who is at the first point cleans themselves. Suppose somebody who is at the 6th point cleans themselves. Do you think that there's a difference between the two as far as the cleaning is concerned and the effectiveness of the cleaning is concerned? Or is it the same? It's like, suppose somebody who is in the first standard reads one book and somebody who is in the 6th standard reads the same book. Do you think that there's a difference in the way that they actually grasp and feel about it, or it's the same? What is it?
They grasp differently.
It has to be different, right? So the relative importance of the sadhanas that we do, the practices that we do, will keep changing as we progress. Okay, and this is a very important aspect. This actually induces dynamism to our journey. Babaji talks about this, that this journey in Sahaj Marg is dynamic journey. It's not a static journey. Okay. So we'll park it there today and then we'll continue. We want not even read the one paragraph of the 9th maxim. We just stuck at that level, but that's a very important point. There is uniformity in divine dealings and only in a particular sense. So we'll continue from there. For example, we'll continue from there tomorrow. Okay. So thank you very much for your time and have a nice day.
Thank you.
The Sudha sister is now going. The next thing she'll do is she turned off the camera. Next thing she's going to do is